Today, 5 signs that you and your twin flame are meant to be together. Dead serious. First, I'm going to list off the signs one by one, and then we're going to go back and explore each sign so that you can understand if this is happening to you or why it happens the way it happens, why these are the correct signs, how you can tell, right? So in other words, we're going to explore my teachings about twin flames, and you're going to find out that they're pretty different from most of the other stuff that you hear about twin flames. So let's list the signs. Number 1, ego death, also known as dark night of the soul. And you're probably going through that right now, right? The obsessive thinking, the desperation, right? All that fun stuff. So that's number 1. Number 2, and you might not be seeing this one yet, but make note of it, because if you start seeing these, it's close. It's close, guys. It's a whole bunch of repeating number patterns in your face all day, everywhere. It's like they're following you. 1111, 1111, 1111, 444, 333, 1111, 144, 222, 1111. Oh my God, they're everywhere. The repeating number patterns. Yeah, and don't worry, if you're not seeing those yet, I'm actually going to assist you so that you could actually get those to start happening. We're going to talk about that. Number 3, something that I lovingly refer to as the weird energy shit, right? So you're going to feel some interesting sensations in your body. And again, if you haven't experienced all of these signs yet, don't worry about it. If you met your twin flame, you will, especially if you take some of the advice I'm going to give you in this video. So there's a whole bunch of like energy coursing through your body. You might experience something called a heart activation. I know that sounds cringy and new age, but it is a thing, right? Heart activation. We're going to talk about that. Okay, number 4, old things falling away. People, life situations, circumstances, your job, your family, your spouse, your friends, things falling away, things ending, things being disrupted in your life, a lot. That's number 4. And number 5, most important sign, you've got this knowing that you're going to be together or that they are your twin flame, and you're having generally a deep shift in your consciousness that you can't quite explain. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know I'm changing and shifting fundamentally. I know that I'm going to be with my twin flame. How do I know that? We're going to talk about that. And again, most importantly, we're going to talk about why these things are happening and how you can tell that these are really the signs that you're meant to be with your twin flame. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kurt. I am the world's #1 twin flame coach. I've personally coached over 7,000 twin flame students through my Introduction to the Journey Twin Flame Coaching Program. I've caused thousands of unions, my twin flame, permanently in my life, and I'd like to share with you what I've learned along the way and what I've taught to thousands of other people. Guys, you're not crazy. Yes, twin flames is a real phenomenon. And all this really is, my friends, are simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. Guys, we already know about reincarnation. That's been known about, talked about, and explained for thousands of years. You just have 2, my friends. Real easy to understand. Now, for you to understand how these signs work and why these are the correct signs, we kind of have to start there. What twin flames are. So let's look at what everybody says about twin flames. I think you'll find this very interesting. So everybody, and I mean everybody on the internet, bar none, says that twin flames are the same soul. Okay. Now, what's interesting is Everybody's got a different idea about what the signs are, or if you're meant to be together at all, or what I'm supposed to do about the whole situation, right? Everybody's got a different answer. Well, how can that be? Think about it for a second. This is really important. If everybody is in agreement about what twin flames are, what's the problem? Everybody agrees that twin flames are the same soul. So why is everybody confused about what to do? Guys, exactly, and it drives me nuts. It should be so obvious. And here's another thing that the internet is good at, and this could apply to any topic that you want to talk about at all. You could be looking into automotive repair, home repair, finance, investing, health, relationship advice, not twin flames, right? Just any old relationship. How to write a book, I don't know, just anything. Meteorology. Just pick any random topic at all. You're going to get a whole bunch of conflicting information. Guys, it's the internet. And you're just going to have to use your logic and your wisdom to sort through all this stuff. Now, guys, I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody else. I'm not. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to put anybody down. But guys, it just boggles the mind why there is so much confusion about this stuff. Because what the soul is not debated by the recognized enlightened masters. Even the people that are giving you all of this conflicting information about twin flames, even those people recognize the same people as I do and as you do as the enlightened spiritual masters. But then they tell you to do things that the enlightened spiritual masters would never tell you to do. Who are the enlightened spiritual masters that everybody recognizes are the enlightened spiritual masters? Well, it's going to be people like Jesus, Buddha, Eckhart Tolle, Ram Dass, right? Paramahansa Yogananda, Krishnamurti, Charlotte Jocko Beck, Alan Watts, right? These are pretty well-known people. And what do all of these people say the soul is? Consciousness. Meanwhile, if you look online for information about what to do about your soul, information regarding what to do about your twin flame, same thing. Your twin flame is your soul. You're going to find people telling you to do all this healing and clearing your chakras and clearing your karma and doing the violet flame chant and doing the mirror exercise and clearing your inner childhood wounds and balancing your inner feminine and masculine and on and on and on and on. And none of that has anything to do with remembering that you are consciousness. At all. Guys, it's okay. And again, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I'm not here to put anybody down. But we need to pause here and have this conversation if you want to understand why these are the correct signs and how you can get these signs to actually start happening. You can! I'm serious, guys. You are your twin flame. You are the soul. And what the soul is not debated by enlightened spiritual masters. Even if there's a bunch of spiritual, in quotation marks, people online telling you otherwise, who, by the way, again, also recognize these people as the enlightened spiritual masters, the people that I named a few minutes ago. But then they're telling you to do all this kind of stuff that the enlightened spiritual masters would never tell you to do. Guys, it's the internet. It's okay. It's fine. But here's the thing. It is very confusing. And these are wonderful people, right? They want to help you most of the time. There's a couple of bad apples on the internet, no doubt. But most people who are telling you what to do about your twin flame and telling you what the signs are good people who really just want to help you, right? But they're not. They're not helping you. They're just confused, guys. They're just confused, and it's okay. I'm here to have this conversation with you about the signs and explain why these are the signs. So let's do that. And you can tell these are the signs. So let's talk about the first one. Ego death, dark night of the soul, the obsessive thinking, the desperately chasing after your twin flame, trying to figure out what to do, looking everywhere on the internet for answers desperately. I would get home, this went on for 6 months for me, you guys. I would get home every day after being barely able to function at my job and just lay on the bed like a vegetable. I couldn't even do basic things like eat. I didn't even want to sleep. And guys, the obsessive thinking, woo! Oh! Oh my God, guys, the obsessive thinking is so nuts. It's so intense. It's like it's happening to you. It's crazy town, guys. It's freaking crazy town. You can't seem to make it stop. Oh my God. And you're checking their social media like 100 times a day, literally, and you're desperately watching video after video after video after video, and you're in a complete state of chaos. Your whole world has been turned upside down over a little like flingy kind of thing. You know, like for most people, not all of you, but for most people, like in my case, for example, we went on like 3 dates for over the course of like 4 weeks, and that was it. We never decided to be together. You don't react like this over a little like going on 2 or 3 dates kind of thing with somebody, guys. I knew this was not normal. This is not a normal breakup. And it wasn't even a breakup, technically. Why am I acting so batshit crazy over this person, right? This is not normal, right? Ego death, dark night of the soul. And you've got this deep sense of meaninglessness. Also, with the obsessive thinking and the desperation and crying and bawling yourself to sleep all the time, like uncontrolled crying in the middle of the day. It was insane, guys. Now, why is this happening? Well, remember, you are body, mind, soul. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel here on this YouTube channel, and you don't need to. All we need to do is stick with what we know. The proven spiritual teachings, which have been taught by the recognized enlightened spiritual masters for thousands of years. They have spoken of this dark night of the soul. They call it ego death, but it's the same thing. Right, body, mind, soul. So you met your soul, your twin flame, in another body. It's your soul, another incarnation of your soul. And when you come into contact with them, it triggers this disruption in your egoic body, the ego, the mind, right? Body, mind, soul, back to basics, spiritualism 101, right? So what is the ego mind? Well, it's thoughts and emotions and chakras and metaphysical energy. It's all that kind of stuff. Thoughts, metaphysical energy, chakras, right? That kind of thing. And it works on a system of duality, right? Past, future, here, there, yin, yang. That's what the yin, yang symbol is talking about, one of the things. But it's the duality of mind, right? And all of the spiritual masters who I've mentioned earlier, that's how they describe it. Why do I keep referencing the spiritual masters? Because they all say the same thing. They've all been teaching the same thing for thousands of years. They teach it to people and it starts working for people. Maybe we should listen to those guys. Maybe we should not listen to whoever in the hell opens up a YouTube channel or opens a website on the internet and is telling you to do all this healing and stuff, which seems to make things worse and make your twin flame run harder. Right, you are consciousness. Your consciousness is exploding. The soul is consciousness, and it is increasing drastically. You met your soul. Yeah, because your soul wants to expand. Now, when this happens, it breaks up the ego mind, right? The ego mind is a collection of retained thought and emotional patterns, memories, feelings, beliefs that you've had since you were a little kid about who you are. It's become your identity. It's a story of self. It's a history. Think about it. Like, here's all these things that I've done with my life. This is my job that I do for a living. These are my family members, my friends. These are the things that I believe politically, or I'm not political, or whatever. I've been to these places, memories, right? People, things, experiences. That constitutes an identity of self. It's called the ego, the personality. That's breaking down, guys. That's why the mind is so triggered right now. Because it's think of it like a hard exterior shell, and a bunch of spiritual angels with jackhammers are coming in to break it all up. Break up that hard exterior shell so that it can be broken down and washed away. And it hurts. Yes, it's very painful. Dark night of the soul, ego death. But it's necessary for you to awaken spiritually. Now, that's the mind. It's all the thinking and the memories and the emotions and metaphysical energy too, right? That's being disrupted. That's being broken down. Again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's called ego death. It has been called ego death for thousands of years. This has been talked about by the recognized enlightened spiritual masters for thousands of years. That's why that's happening. Okay. What is that, though? What is that all about, ego death? Well, it's the first step of your spiritual awakening. Your twin flame is your spirit. They are your soul. Everybody says twin flames are the same soul, and then they give you all this weird advice, and they're always telling you to do all this healing and stuff like that. And I know they're just trying to help. Like I said, these are usually good people, most of them, but it doesn't seem to be helping, guys. Guys, healing does not cause self-actualization. Like who are you beyond the mind? And remember, if you're sitting there thinking and you're trying to figure it out, understand, yeah, what is that? What is the soul? I know I'm the soul, but what is that? Who am I? What is he talking about? Blah, 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 blah. You're trying to think. You're trying to understand. But you don't understand the soul, guys. That's why spiritualism seems so mysterious to people when you really find out what it's really all about, instead of kind of the like pop culture stuff on the internet, all the healing and clearing your chakras, and which is all real stuff, right? Psychology, that's real. Chakras, those are real. But they just put the label spiritual on it. It's really a bunch of mental and metaphysical stuff, right? Body, mind, soul. The soul is spiritual, guys. It's consciousness. And when you get a taste of that, it's beyond description. You can't explain it, right? This is your spiritual awakening. And this, I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, because there's the knowing and the spiritual awakening that you experience, which is one of the main signs how you can tell you and your twin flame are going to be together, right? So, but I'm still kind of setting things up a little bit. These signs are all going to make perfect sense to you because I've done all this setup. Well, let's do the next one. Tell you what, let's do the next one. Let's get through this list here. Let's talk about the repeating number patterns. Why does that start happening? Well, it's because you have remembered yourself as consciousness. The mind is telling you you got to figure something out, do healing, right? Self-actualization is when you remember who you are beyond the mind, beyond the thinking. The mind, you can heal. It's called psychology, and I highly recommend, if you think you need to do that, going and talking to a real psychologist instead of some of these weird spiritual healing modalities that you see the New Agers talking about on the internet. You know, the pop culture spiritualism. Because a lot of the healing modalities that they're telling you to do are very invalidating, and it's just a bunch of self-gaslighting. Like, you're not allowed to feel emotions, and you're not allowed to get angry ever, and if you do, then you're not spiritual. Right, that's not spiritual, guys. Again, healing is fine if you think you need that, but almost all of you do not. And you don't need to do any healing of any kind whatsoever to get your twin flame to stop running and to get these signs to start happening either, Healing does not cause self-actualization. Self-actualization might cause healing, and it'll definitely start a whole bunch of repeating number patterns to be blowing up in your face all the time. So what is self-actualization? Remembering that you are consciousness. And I want to be clear about this, because when I teach this to people, sometimes they go, oh, I get it. I need to take my focus off my twin flame and focus on myself. Well, almost. Yes, it is true, you need to take your focus off your twin flame. But the next step isn't to focus on me. That's psychology, actually. I focus on me. That's duality. That's the mind. That's looking at the thinking and figuring out who I am, which you can't figure out. Right? You can't figure out who I am. You can't figure out the soul. It's the great mystery. That's why when people start to actually find out what spiritualism is, it's very mysterious to them. So what is it? Well, it's not I focus on myself. It's I remember that I am focus itself. I am consciousness. Well, watch this. You can do this right now. Watch this. There's thoughts and feelings going on, right? There's thoughts and feelings going on. And then, have you ever asked yourself, why did I think that? Why am I feeling this emotion? Why am I thinking about this? And let's face it, with your twin flame, the obsessive thinking, it's kind of hard to not notice the mind is thinking. Okay. Now, did you notice that you are that which notices? Rupert Spira said, can a thought feel anger? Can a thought listen to this conversation? No, thought is the object of consciousness. You are that which observes thinking and emotion. You are consciousness. And you experience consciousness. The name of the first chapter of Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, is called You Are Not Your Mind. That is the core teaching of Zen spiritualism. And this is not debated by the recognized enlightened spiritual masters. The soul is consciousness, and you don't think your way there. Remember, your twin flame is your soul. So the better you get at transcending the egoic mind, the thinker, the better you get at not deriving your sense of self from the thinker, but instead as consciousness, the more you're going to start to see those repeating number patterns. Also, the ego death is going to slow down. Also, you're going to start to experience the weird energy shit, right? Remember we talked about that? That was the third sign. So what's the weird energy shit? Well, you're going to feel like Kundalini type sensations. You're going to feel energy coursing through your body, surging up through your spine, out your crown. You're going to feel like a pull. It's energy. It's this weird, like the way that I experienced it, me anyway, it was like there's like an elastic band attached to my whole entire body, like a gigantic elastic band, right? Okay. And I could feel it pulling me, this energy. Really cool. And it doesn't hurt. It feels really cool. Okay. There's also something called a heart activation, which again, that sounds like one of those cringy New Age terms, but it is really a thing. And right now, you may be experiencing pain in your heart. I have to tell you this, go see a doctor. Make sure that you're not having a heart attack. I have to say that. But as long as the doctor clears you, yeah, that's a thing. You can feel pain in your heart. Now, what I'm talking about is later, after the ego death, dark night of the soul starts to kind of wind down, and you feel some of this energy, and you start to see repeating number patterns. You also are going to start feeling intense love in your heart. And I mean like fucking really intense. The love I felt in my heart was so intense that I remember thinking, can my heart take this much love? And it was eros, right? So there's kind of two types of love. There's agape, which is like spiritual. It's just like, it's like inner peace. And then eros is like romance, right? And it was like that. It was like really intense eros. It was like, and I thought it was having to do with my twin flame. Well, I guess it is, because she's my soul. And you meet your other self, your twin flame. You meet your other self, and again, they trigger all this. They're just a catalyst, guys, right? And now at this point, I'd been detaching from my mind, remembering that I'm not the thinker, I am not the mind, I am the soul, I am the consciousness. And at this point, I started to feel this really intense love in my heart. And again, it was so intense, I actually thought, can I die from the love? It was really strong, you guys. Now, obviously, I didn't die, but it's just a metaphysical activation. Now, what will happen soon thereafter is going to be lots and lots of knowing, lots of intuitive hits about your twin flame and about the future and about being connected to everything. We'll come back to that in just a second. Let's talk about old life situations, old things falling away, people. You know, I don't really think this one needs to be explained too in depth. That's going to be different for everybody, but this awakening is going to tear old things away. And the harder you cling to those things, the more pain you may experience. Some of the things I clinged to for actually a couple of years after the spiritual awakening kicked off in full force. And I went through some cycles of suffering, which, again, the New Agers on the internet, they give you the impression that you're going to check off all the check boxes and flip the switch to on, and you're never going to have a bad day ever again, and I'm never going to get upset ever again, and I'm never going to have challenges in my life ever again, and everything's going to be all perfect forever and ever, and if I ever get sad or mad, I'm a bad person, and I'm not spiritual, and I'm a failure, right? That's what they tell you. And that's called gaslighting, by the way. And it's definitely not spiritual. You're going to get lots of spiritual bypassing from the internet. But I digress. The awakening, you surrender to that. And you allow old things to fall away. And you don't, I would take my time. I didn't just start kicking people out of my life. In fact, almost all of the people in my life today are the same people that were there at the beginning. But there were some bad people. There were some toxic people, and I was blind to that. I've always been, I think, what you would call a people pleaser. I was one of those, right? And so I let people push me around and trick me into thinking that they're good for me, right? I was one of those. And they weren't good for me. And some of the people I clung to for longer than maybe I should have, but I guess that was just my lesson to learn. Well, anyway, guys, it's going to be different for everybody. So don't think it's going to be all perfect, like we're going to flip the switch to on, and then you're all done. This is a process, guys. Your ego is starting to break down. This is the first step in your ascension. And the ego has decades of conditioning and self-limiting talk and self-gaslighting and sadness and anger. You've got decades of that crap stored in the ego mind. It could take a while, guys. So just surrender, just relax, let things play out how they're going to play out. Think for yourself, too. Don't even necessarily take my advice. Go learn about spiritualism for yourself. You could read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You could read Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. All right, he's another pretty popular spiritual teacher teaching traditional spiritualism, genuine spiritualism, which is that you are consciousness, right? Beyond the body and beyond the mind, you are consciousness, and consciousness is not thinking. You don't understand consciousness. You can't figure it out what it is. You just experience it. And it's a mystery to the mind, right? That's spiritualism. It's non-duality. Write that down. Write that down. The mind is duality. Okay? Consciousness is non-duality. Non-duality. And by the way, I've got Eckhart Tolle's YouTube channel. I've got a couple other spiritual teachers, Anna Brown, John Butler is another good one, as hosted channels on this YouTube channel. If you want to go to the channels menu up above and look at the channels I recommend. Also, there's a documentary film that you can watch called Samadhi, Samadhi. You watch that movie, and by the time you're done, you're going to be like, I get it, and I don't know why I get it. Right? Because it's the great mystery. It's the soul. You don't explain it. So you're going to watch that movie, and you're going to be like, I get it, but I don't know why I get it. Right? Well, we're going to talk about that next. So watch that movie. It's on YouTube. It's free, absolutely free. There's 3 parts. Watch part 1 first. Don't skip around. The other 2 won't make sense to you if you do that. Watch part 1. It's called Samadhi, part 1, the illusion of Maya. And Maya is a spiritual term for ego, right? The illusion of self. Let's talk about the last and most important sign. And we've already talked about it quite a bit in this video, the knowing and the spiritual awakening, right? So the knowing that you're going to be with your twin, that your life is about to change in ways that you can't explain, or like I said, when you watch the Samadhi movie, you're going to be like, I get it, and I don't know why I get it, right? Well, it's the mind who is saying that. You know it, you get it on a deeper intuitive level, the knowing, but it's not a conceptual knowing, it's spiritual. So the mind is actually what is saying, I get it, but I don't know why I get it, right? The mind can't understand conceptually, but you don't need to. Okay, it's like deja vu or something, right? You're having the deja vu, and there's the knowing that you've done this before, but then the mind is going, how do I know I've done this before? And you believe you are the mind, so you think that it's you who's asking, how do I know I've done this before? Right. Get it? Guys, you are not your mind. You are a soul. The soul is consciousness. Your twin flame is your soul. You are simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. Reincarnation has been known about for a long, long time, guys. We already know this stuff. We know exactly what twin flames are, simultaneous incarnations. It's not a mystery. We know what the soul is. It's not a mystery. Guys, I got the answers. Go watch my free twin flame coaching videos. The playlist is called The True Twin Flame Teachings. Go check out that playlist on this YouTube channel, The True Twin Flame Teachings. I'll even explain to you where the words union, separation, and detaching came from. Go check out those videos. Guys, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you next time.